Hey, how's it going? Zuko here, and welcome to my anime figures pre-order video for 2023. Now, as a YouTuber who pretty much only talks about anime figures, there's a bit of an obligation to make this video each year. People just really want to know what you're ordering, as it's a good indication of like your tastes, your preferences, and just your recommendations all around. And I'm more than happy to oblige, as it's a pretty fun trend within the community. Now this year I have like 20 to 25 pre-orders, which is pretty good. You know, not too little, not too much, feels just right. But as good as 2022 was, I feel like 2023 is going to blow it out of the water. I just have a couple of figures that I feel like are going to be some of the best in my collection, and I'm very excited to get them, and I'm excited to talk about them in this video. Also, I need to make this video now, because if I wait any longer, I think the next opportunity I'm going to get is in March. We got one fest and one hobby next week, and that's going to take up a lot of my time on top of some other videos I'm planning. So, let's talk about this now. Now, on top of my pre-orders, I'm also going to be talking about some additional figures that I'm on the fence about. Like, I like them, but I haven't ordered them yet. If you ask me, I think the strategy for buying figures is changing, and I want to go into the new year with a new mindset. On top of that, though, I'll also be highlighting some figures that aren't mine, but will end up being reviewed or showcased on this channel in some capacity. I'm lucky enough to be in a relationship with someone who also collects, and she's nice enough to lend me figures if I ask from time to time, like I did with Lufia or Hokusai, for example. I'm not going to talk about everything that she's ordering, I feel like that would be a bit overkill, more so just like the big highlights that I think you guys would anticipate the most on this channel and hopefully are looking forward to getting yourselves. But yeah, that's about everything I needed to say. Let's start talking about the figures. So starting us off, I want to talk about a couple figures that I don't actually know when I'm going to be getting, and the first one is Mei from Guilty Gear. She is a darling, and this figure is adorable, but unfortunately, she wanted 8,300 yen to be shipped EMS, and I just wasn't having that. I felt like that was way too expensive for what otherwise looks pretty simple outside of the gigantic anchor that she's holding on to. I guess I underestimated how expensive this would have been to ship, so I shipped her surface mail. You know, she's a pirate. I think she'll survive the open seas, but that means I'm just not going to see her for quite a while, maybe April the soonest, but it's fine. You know, it sucks, but it's fine. Sometimes you got to do that, and I would recommend doing so if the prices get a little too expensive for you. The other figure is the SH Figuarts Vike from Elden Ring. Now, if you dangle an Elden Ring figure in my face, I'm probably going to buy it, at least if it's affordable, and this was very affordable. Retailed for like 7,000 yen. I ordered it through Kappa Hobby, which was about like 60 bucks. So they're an American store. I quite like them. Sometimes they have really good deals on figures and free shipping. So I just went with them. I don't need this figure right away. When they originally showed him off, they did not showcase his frenzied flame effect piece. They were like, oh, we're working on it, bro. We'll show you later. Turns out it actually did come out really nicely. And yeah, figure looks fantastic, but I'm not going to have it for a while. So, you know, whatever. I can wait. Don't need a Figuarts immediately, but yeah, those are my two that I just will get eventually. So let's move on to January. So despite January already ending, obviously, I might as well talk about it very quickly, as there's only two figures to discuss, and the first one is the Kirby 30th Anniversary Nendoroid. Now, Kirby has the best Nendoroid ever made. Love that thing. And I think everybody would agree this is just like the pinnacle of the Nendoroid series. And instead of re-releasing it for the 7th time, or maybe even more than that, they decided to celebrate the 30th anniversary by giving him all new faceplates and all new accessories. Very cheap too, at like 4,700 yen or something like that. I was basically on the market for a Kirby Nendoroid anyway, because the one that comes with the Kirby Robobot Nendoroid, which you may or may not be familiar with, kind of sucks. For some reason, it got very sticky immediately, and I think most owners of this Nendoroid know what I'm talking about. It was just poorly made compared to the original release. So I just wanted something else to put into the mech. So I'm just kind of happy that I have another opportunity, and it's not the exact same Nendoroid I already have. And yeah, he looks great and super cute. The other figure this month, which actually isn't mine, is the Luna illustration by Astrum Design. Kind of like a fashion model type character. I don't know a lot about her, but she looks pretty attractive. I like the fashion of the coat over the shiny leotard and the leggings. You can kind of see her butt very easily if you turn this figure around, and she's got some really nice purple hair with some red highlight gradients. So moving on to February, we've got 5 figures, which is a bit more than I was anticipating, but we're going to start off with a very expected one for me, and that is the Taiga version by Freeing, a 1/4 scale bunny, if you will. And of course, I'm going to be covering this one in her own video. I plan to do like a comparison piece, but I can't imagine it'll be very long because they're very similar figures, let's be honest. But I'm still, anticipating it because Taiga is my waifu, and I love her. But yeah, I mean, she comes out really soon, so we won't have to wait that much longer. But I'll probably make the video after One Fest and One Hobby are done, so give me like a couple weeks. Cool. Asuka Langley Radio Eva Part 2. I gotta say, this is a huge step up from Part 1 if you ask me, and I don't think this figure really needs an introduction. This is a very popular release, and for good reason. She looks stunning. I love the streetwear that they put her in, and even the pose just looks really dope. And it's actually my first Asuka figure, so that's cool. Genshin Impact's Ganyu by Apex, a very attractive figure for a really affordable price of 14,800 yen. Now, I've gone on record stating that I don't play this series, however, I have a couple of favorite characters, and Ganyu is one of them. This figure just looks amazing for the price that they're asking for. Like, yeah, it's a little simple in terms of the pose, but I actually feel like they've done a good job making it have this, like, calming, gentle, soothing aura, if that makes sense. I love the colors of this figure, and the outfits, like, intricacies are all seemingly there. So I think they did a fantastic job with this one, and I'm really excited to get not only her, but my first Apex figure as well, and yeah, hope they do a good job with it. Max Factory's 1/6 scale Ryza. Now there's a lot of Ryzas on the market, as I'm sure you're very aware of, but this is the one that I ordered, and I really like the whole diorama aspect of it. They've managed to capture that art piece that this figure is based on, and pretty much do it one-to-one. This just looks phenomenal. I trust in Max Factory's quality. For some reason, this was delayed indefinitely in December, but it only lasted 2 months, so I really wonder what happened for them to be so worried about it. It did have a release date in December, and then they just had to scrap that entirely. Very funny situation. Maybe they just forgot to, like, put on her eye decals or something. They were too busy, looking at the thighs and whatnot, which is, fair enough because this figure has ridiculous thighs. I know a lot of them are very thick, but my god, this figure might take the cake for thickest Ryza. Not sure, might be wrong, but it's a charm point of this figure for sure. And wrapping up February, we have potentially the figure of the month, and that is the Hokusai swimsuit version by Good Smile Company. What a stellar piece this is. I gotta be honest, this is a very impressive sculpt, and it's not even my figure. I'm giving it this much praise, and I didn't even buy it, but you know how it is. Can't buy everything, right? I just think she looks phenomenal, from her face and her hair and all these like kimono sashes wrapping around her body, the like 4 to 5 katanas that are behind her. She just looks so cool and attractive, and the colors are like exploding everywhere because of all the patterns. I think this one you have to look out for, even if you don't care about Fate Grand Order at all. Like, I am really impressed with this one, and I can't wait to see it in person. So March is a bit of a special month for me. Despite how there's only one figure being released, it's quite the figure. It's very expensive at 47,000 yen, and I wouldn't really hesitate to say that this might be the best figure that I own. At least in terms of like quality, in terms of craftsmanship, it might take the cake. And I'm talking about the Gecko Sekiro figure from Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. This is also a bit of a redemption arc, as like kind of stupid as that sounds. I'm just really tired of not owning the Gecko from Software figures. I pretty much like all of them, but if you didn't buy them like when they came out, they all eventually skyrocketed. They're way too much money now, and I do hunt for them all the time, but as I eventually try to find them, I'm not going to miss out on the newer releases. And I think Sekiro might be the best one they've done so far. I think the images kind of just speak for themselves. Like, there is so much going on in his outfit, in his prosthetic arm. Like, I think that arm might have more detail than like some of the PVC scales that I've ordered this year. And then the base is just like the roof of a Japanese castle, which is awesome. Really puts you in the world of Sekiro, if you will. I fear how much this is going to cost to ship because I have it ordered on AmiAmi, and it's forced EMS, so I think I made a mistake on that one. However, it doesn't matter. I need this figure. This is just, it's too important to me. I really do need it. April is another 5-figure month, and we're going to start off with the cutest figure, the Waddle Dee Nendoroid. Now, this was another one that I just missed out on back in the day. I was aware of it, I just chose to sleep on the release, and I was a fool for doing so because the figure ended up costing $300 on the aftermarket, which is just ludicrous. I can't believe how expensive this little guy got. Similar to Kirby, I feel like this Nendoroid falls into the perfect Nendoroid category. He is that good, So yeah, that's double the reason why I'm dumb for not buying him back in the day. So can't wait to get him when he releases in April. If there's one thing my collection is really lacking on, it's Yu-Gi-Oh figures. While there are a lot of figures out there for the series, I'm just really looking for specific characters, and Amakuni is gracing me with Chaz. We're gonna Chaz it up in April with his new PVC scale, and I think he looks awesome. I love that he comes with the Ojamas. I know some people are gonna think they're gross and ugly, but I think it adds an element of humor to the figure, and also just makes the price tag a little bit better because you're getting 3 little minifigures with Chaz, right? Yu-Gi-Oh! Just has a really cool art style to me, and I really do need to add more figures from this series to my collection, as it was a pretty big part of my childhood and I guess young teen years. Ayanami Rei Millennials illustration version. You know, the moment I saw this figure painted, I knew I would be buying it. I was very taken aback by how much I like this piece. It's just simplicity done perfectly. She looks beautiful, and I just love this, I guess, design of her. The plug suit with the jacket on top just looks stellar. And because it's Alter, and I guess B-Box, I'm not exactly sure what part of the figure is being handled by who, but you could tell, like, the plug suit's painting, the shading just looks phenomenal. I think this might be my favorite Rei figure I've ever seen. And I don't have any yet, so this will be a good starting point, I suppose. Azur Lane's Honolulu, specifically the lightweight version, because I don't really care about the rigging. As nice as it looks, just adds a little bit too much to the price for something I'm just not that interested in. I bought this figure because I found it attractive. She's, very voluptuous, right? This dress looks like it's eating her, it's so tight, but I also like her tsundere face and her red twin tails and the coat that she has on her shoulders and the hat. I think it all looks really good. I will admit I like Wave's version of Honolulu a little bit better, but that figure's also like 9,000 yen more, so I'll settle with this one. The Alter quality for like 19,000 yen, that sounds like a plan to me. And yeah, it's hot. That's it. And to wrap up April, we have potentially my favorite figure of the month, and that is Bomber Girls Pine by Wave. Now, you know I like this series, you know I like Pine. Excuse my French, for lack of better words, character's a bit of a bitch, but that's what makes her good. She's so arrogant and smug. I love this expression that they chose to put on this Pine figure. She actually comes with 2, but I doubt I will be swapping the faceplates because the whole figure really leans in on the first faceplate. And I like that for once we're actually getting a Bomber Girl figure with like the actual normal outfit that she's always wearing, if that makes sense. A lot of them are swimsuits or cheerleaders, and I don't have a problem with that, but I do like this magical girl thing that she's got going on with the creamsicle colors. Just a really nice color palette. A lot of cute, you know, things about this costume that I like, and her tail with the explosion. I think it's a good character design. And I like her, so yeah, I am anticipating this one, and I haven't forgotten to review the other figures, but by the time I get around to it, I might just throw this one into that video as well, if it comes out on time. But the turnaround on this figure is like very short. She didn't go up for pre-order that long ago, and she's already coming out in April, so I don't know. I don't believe it, but we'll see in April. In May, we're going to be getting 2 really nice Alter figures, and the first one is the BB-1/8 scale from Fate Grand Order. Now, there's actually 2 versions of this figure, a lighter skin version and a darker skin version. One is exclusive to AmiAmi, and the other is a retail release. Now, I went with the exclusive one, which is the lighter skin version, mainly because she comes with a cheeky faceplate. I just think that, like, tongue sticking out is very adorable. I really like that expression. But I don't think you could really go wrong with either release. They both have their specific charming points about them, but most of the rest of the figure is exactly the same. It's really just down to the skin complexion. But I think this one looks fucking awesome, if I could be so frank. I love how gigantic her hair sculpt is. I'm not sure if it's normally that long, but it's just taking up the entire figure. This thing's going to cost a lot to ship. And then, like, her cape also are bat wings or vampire wings or something. I'm not very familiar with this character. I'm not super into Fate Grand Order. I do watch, like, all the anime, but I'm not really too familiar with her, unfortunately. However, this figure won me over instantly. From the leotard-type outfit that she's wearing with the bat wings, the giant hair, and the tentacle base, it all just looks awesome, and her body looks amazing, and it's Alter, so I know I'm going to like it. However, our next figure is from a series that I am very familiar with, and that is the Toho Project's Flandre Scarlet 1/8 scale. Now, this is very likely going to be her best figure to date. I have no doubt in my mind. And it's kind of like a dream come true that Alter of all companies are starting to make some Toho figures, because back then it was just Griffin Enterprises, who are now out of business. And there are some other companies that do, tackle the Toho series, but this is just, I don't know, man. I'm kind of at a loss for words, from the base to the colors to her like decrepit wings with all those crystals. Just the sculpting amount of detailing going on here is just other level. It looks so beautiful. It's a shame that like almost all Toho figures are 1/8 scale. I mean, they all do scale with each other at the very least, but I do feel like they're doing this figure a little bit of a disservice by only making it a 1/8 instead of a 1/7. However, I don't care. This is probably right behind Sekiro as like my second most anticipated figure, because I am just in love with everything about this one. So starting off in June, we've got a pretty interesting one, a figure that I don't think a lot of you guys are going to be ordering. However, I really like this line, and that is the Nikaido figure from 3-0. It's a 1/6 scale posable figure with like cloth instead of plastic making up the clothing. They've done a really good job with like a handful of these Dorohedoro figures, and they're really the only company, for the most part, tackling one of my favorite shows and manga ever. So I feel like I need to get these figures. She pretty much looks perfect, and her accessories are pretty much exactly what you would want. They are a bit spoilery if you've only seen the anime adaptation, which they're probably never going to finish, unfortunately, so I don't know. If you care about that, don't look at the screen right now. But if you are looking at the screen, I think you can, tell that you're getting a lot of stuff here. And 1/6 scale posables are a bit more impressive than you might think if you're used to like Figma or Figuarts. They're very big, they're very meaty, they feel very substantial in your collection. And I think they did a stellar job here, so really excited to get this one. However, I bought her from the Big Bad Toy Store, so I'm not going to get her in June, but that's fine by me. I didn't really want to get her in June anyway, because some other figures are coming out that are going to cost some money. So to go along with Chaz, I had to get the Jaden figure as well from the same series, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. This is a re-release. If you missed out on him the first time, you may want to consider getting him, because he was a very expensive figure on the aftermarket. And he comes with a Karibo, which is so cute. And he's not too expensive for a re-release either, so that's good. But I think his shipping might put him over the line for some people, because his box is kind of big from what I've seen. But yeah, another cool one for June. Nia from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. There was no chance in hell I was about to miss this release. I figuratively lined up day one, ready to hit that pre-order button. The price did not matter at all. Got my order in, and I am super excited to get this one. I might be jumping the gun, claiming like which figures are going to be some of my favorites of the year. But this one's also got a chance at doing so, because holy shit is she beautiful. Now, the price hike from the other Xenoblade girls, it's a little high, but I think it's understandable when you look at how much plastic is kind of, I don't know, being used for her hair. The sword is beautiful with the flowers on top of it. The outfit's just a bit more intricate, right? There's a lot of like really beautiful colors being incorporated into her design. It's a really gorgeous color palette, and her face looks adorable, and the overall presentation is just spectacular. I don't really have any negatives to say here, except for the base is a little less interesting than pretty much all of the other Xenoblade girls. I understand what they're going for, I just feel like it falls a little bit flat in this instance, but really don't care. Nia is best girl, and I think she's getting best figure. I don't think Mio's will look as good. I did start playing that game. I'm on chapter 3, I think. I'm like 14 hours in. Loving it, but yeah, we're here to talk about Nia. And this is another one that'll probably be top 5 in my collection this year, and probably one of the best figures I own, because quite the piece. Last for June is another figure that isn't mine, actually. Been a minute since we've mentioned one of those. It's the Junko B-Style by Freeing from Danganronpa, a very popular release, I'm sure. This one is a little different from typical Freeing figures. I like her two-tone outfit, the boots look great, and the bigger fishnets are definitely a look. You get to appreciate her legs a little bit more than you normally would on the Freeing bunnies. I think I've said that like exact statement last time too. But it's true, I do think there's something about this release that's a little bit fresher than the typical, Freeing figure, at least to me. Pose is good as well. I like the bear clips in her hair. Pretty much nails the Danganronpa art style too. Just a good release, and I think she's not super expensive. 35,000 yen apparently, limited release. It's pretty expensive, but whatever, it's a bunny, you know what you're getting into. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up June. July had nothing for me. I didn't order anything this month. However, there are two figures we can talk about, the Luminous Star and Platonica figures by Fluo, if I said that right. I'm not very familiar with this company. However, I am very familiar with these figures. Two, trendy streetwear drip girls, right? They're wearing like Capcom colors, which is the first thing I always think about when I see these two. I can't get it out of my head as a gamer, if you will. However, I think they are kind of killing it in these outfits. They both look adorable. Not sure if they're dating or if they're sisters. It doesn't really matter. They look amazing together. You can pair them up. They can like link their pinkies, I believe. And yeah, there's a lot of like little cute, charming things about both of these releases, and they're about 16,000 yen, I believe, at retail. You also get their hats if you buy them, like real versions of their hats if you pre-order them. I don't know if that deal is still going on. However, that was the case when they went up for pre-order, and I think that is such a cool bonus, right? So yeah, I can't wait to see these in person. I hope they live up to the prototypes because they both look awesome. But that's it for July. August has one figure, Best Girl from Uma Musume, Daiwa Scarlet. This is from Max Factory. I believe it costs 21,000 yen, at least that's what MFC says. However, I think it's closer to like 23,000 if you were to order it from, say, Good Smile Company because of the tax. I couldn't help myself. I love this character. I've seen like 3 episodes of the anime, but that's enough. I love this character design. She looks amazing. This like regal idol girl outfit that she's wearing. Love the colors, love the sculpting of her hair. Very cute figure, love her face, and the podium that she's on looks like legitimate marble with some nice golden trim on it. Definitely like a not as like exciting release for most people because I don't think the West cares about this series so much, and I guess I kind of fall into that category. I'm not super into this series. However, I think the girls in this series are super cute, and I love what they did with this figure. And while it was expensive when I ordered it, nowadays I'm down. Like 23,000 yen, yeah, I'm fine with that. You know, I'm getting bent over by other companies more so than this, so I'm cool with that. Moving into September, we have another Toho project figure, this time the Reimu from the Toho Vania series. Now, I was kind of on the fence on this one because I had the Lost Word Reimu. However, now that that figure is like sort of a dud, a little bit. I mean, it's still beautiful, but it's got some problems, unfortunately. This might be the best Reimu I'm gonna own right now. Like, it's a little weird to think about how I've been flip-flopping between these releases. However, the Q's Q Toho Vania figures are bar none some of the best figures that I own. They are breathtaking. You really need to see them in person to like fully appreciate how much detailing are going into these like sort of creepy interpretations of the characters. Trust me, they are all absolutely worth it. However, this one had a really big price hike from the other two, like 10,000 yen more. Can't say for sure if that's worth it. However, I'm in need of a Reimu figure that's not going to topple over, and this one just looks so badass and edgy and metal, and like all that red and black on this figure, it just looks so cool. And I already have figures that are going to match up with it, so I feel like I gotta get it. Just spectacular. I think this one is awesome. So earlier in the video, I talked about the one Ryza that I'm going to be buying. However, we're going to have 2 in the collection because my girlfriend is buying the Alter Smug Ryza. And this figure really is all about the face. Otherwise, it is a very simple Ryza figure. However, I think the face does make this one pretty special, and she's not too expensive at 21,800 yen. There's really not that much else to talk about it. It's the outfit that you're familiar with, it's the company that you probably respect, and if you like the face, you're probably going to like this figure, and if you don't, you're going to stay away. That's just the case with this one. It really does have a certain audience to it, if you will. Like, some people just don't like this figure, and that's totally fine. However, I like it, she likes it, why not get it? In October, we're going to be getting 3 figures, starting off with the Figma Samus Aran from Metroid Dread. Now, similar to From Software games, Metroid is just a series that I really want to collect more for. And while I do at least have the Metroid Prime 3 Figma, I would like more. You can never have enough Samus because she's one of the coolest video game characters ever. And the Figma looks awesome. You know, the Metroid Dread armor is super sick. I love what they did for that game. And the game was amazing. That was like one of the best Switch games out, and it still is. Really respect what they did with that one. And I think this Figma is pretty perfect. I'm just looking at images of it right now. I love the white and blue color palette with the red for the helmet, or the visor rather. And the accessories are good. You know, some people say she doesn't come with enough for the price tag, which is fair. You know, prices are very subjective and whatnot. But I think it's enough. You get like a magnet to stick onto walls and shit like that. You get the morph ball, of course, and you get like the open cannon. I forget the name of the cannon. Maybe it's the Omega cannon. Been a while since I've played it. However, if you're down with the price, this is one to get. I think all of Samus's Figma end up going up in price anyway, so get it now before you regret it, for sure. So I've been mistakenly lying to you guys, pointing out that this might be my favorite figure of the year, or that is the best figure of 2023. However, I think I know what the objective best figure of the year is going to be. The MX-Chan 1/7 scale by Max Factory. How could I forget such a wonderful piece of art? Now, some people think it's a little expensive at 28,000 yen or so. However, I was pleasantly surprised when I saw the price tag on Good Smile Company Global site for around $200 and something. Very cheap, like 209. I mean, that's not cheap, but relative to the quality and the size, like she is a 1/7 scale, but she's kind of gigantic. This gigantic, muscular, voluptuous woman is only like 200 bucks, and I am so down with that. I'm a little down bad for this figure, I'll admit. Probably getting annoying at this point, hearing me talk about it over and over again. I think I've done it twice through the various videos at this point. However, I'm just impressed at the quality. I'm just impressed at Tori Domino's art style being brought to life, somehow crafting a more attractive character than Ryza, more thicker than Ryza, without making it look ridiculous. To me, might look ridiculous to you. However, it's my collection, so it doesn't matter. This is one hell of a figure, right? And we talked about it so much that I'm going to move on from this one, but yeah, jokes aside, really looking forward to this. Probably won't actually be my favorite figure of the year, but it might be in my top 5. Might actually be, because I fucking love this figure. She looks so good. I forget if I said how many figures are in October. I might have said 3, but there's actually 5, and the remaining few are not actually mine. So let's run through them right now. First up, we have the Kaide figure from Danganronpa V3, made by Fat Company. And if you know this company, you know that this figure probably isn't coming out this year. It will probably come out in 2024, if we're lucky. However, I think this is a pretty nice looking piece. Not sure if it's the best Danganronpa figure so far from them. However, I do think it's probably more ambitious with the sheets, like the note sheets floating all around her, just kind of sticking to certain points of her body. Really convincingly too. I think they've hidden the fact that those are like plugged into certain points really well. I like that Monokuma is such a presence on this figure. The piano keys look really nice, and Kaide looks great. Really got nothing to complain about from the prototype. I just hope this company actually delivers, because I'm a little worried about them delaying like every figure that they're making so far, but I guess we'll see. Steins Gate's Makise Kurisu 1/7 scale, the Reading Steiner version by Good Smile Company. This is the Kurisu figure to get. I know there are a lot of other figures on the market, and a lot of them are very nice. However, this new version of her is so good that I feel like you just don't need the others anymore. Unless you're a big fan of the character and you buy more than one scale per character, right? Which is fine, I do that as well. However, if you just want one, I don't know how you can beat this one. The base is just so good on this figure. So much so that I'm kind of worried that it might not come out as good as they're promising, but at least like Good Smile Company is handling it. Even if they make a couple of mistakes, I feel like for the most part, they will deliver on this figure. And she just looks amazing as well. Like, I really like what they've done with Kurisu herself. The whole like hand pose messing with her hair just looks so good. Her eyes look amazing. The pose is cool. I got nothing but nice things to say about this one, and there's just so many details on this figure that you could just stare at her for hours and just find new little things and trace all the wires back to the, like, you know, computer that it's connected to. It's just a very unique figure with a really ambitious sculpt, and it costs around 32,000 yen, apparently, which is really reasonable by the time this comes out. So, yeah, maybe a perfect figure if they actually deliver on it. Chainsaw Man's Hayakawa Aki 1/7 scale by Mythos, a very popular figure. Aki looking pretty hot, covered in blood, just killed a zombie or a demon, not exactly sure, think it's a zombie. However, this guy looks awesome. Very pretty version of Aki, right? And, you know, it's a little expensive nowadays because something happened to their pricing, unfortunately. However, I think there's enough going on and enough like really nice paintwork, especially with the blood, that the price is pretty justified, assuming that the shipping prices aren't going to kill this figure depending on where you get him. Thinking about it though, there's a real lack of Chainsaw Man figures in this video, but I'll talk about one relatively soon when we get there. Alright, we're winding down now. We only have 2 more figures to talk about in the year that are guaranteed pre-orders, one in November, one in December. And the November figure is again not my figure, but it is the Meltrius 1/7 scale from Alter by Fate Grand Order. Now both of us just really like penguins. They're such a cute animal, and I love the fact of the inclusion of this like sliding penguin with the bow tie. He is adorable. However, Meltrius herself looks excellent. I love this penguin hoodie. It's very crinkly, it's very unique. The giant hair sculpt kind of just like lightly swirling around her body looks really nice. Her face, kind of like the BB figure, very cheeky. I love the expression that she's, I don't know, got on her. And yeah, I don't know, her weird pencil legs are gonna take some time to get used to, but it's nice. This is a really nice one, very different figure from a lot of the others in our collection. And you can't go wrong with Fate. Fate just has some awesome designs, and this, frankly, is one that I like quite a bit. And finally, in December, ending off the list with a bang, is the Aqua Vampire Negligee version by Amakuni from the Bomber Girl series. Yes, I bought it. Yes, I know it's overpriced at 36,000 yen, but I couldn't help myself. A guy's got his needs. When he likes vampire girls and succubuses and demons, if you see a figure like this, it becomes irresistible. This figure is irresistible to me. Totally fine if you don't like it, but this just calls to me in such a profound way. At the very least, you gotta give this figure some credit for having such a phenomenal face. This is such a crazy expression that I can't get enough of. But the figure is very fun. I love all these bats that are basically making up the throne, and they're really fun and goofy and cartoony, and I think that adds to the charm of this one. If you want to hear me talk way more about this, go check out the pre-order roundup from December. But yeah, another Bomber Girl figure that won my heart, perhaps won some other places, but yeah, that's gonna do it. Actually, I'm lying. There was one other figure I forgot to talk about, Figurama. They make some statues, right? And I'm not going into that category, right? I would still classify this as a figure, because they're actually getting into 1/8 scales. If you haven't heard, Figurama is making a 1/8 scale of Dorohedoro. They're making a Kaiman and Nikaido like joint figure. They're together on the figure. They're basically like killing the shit out of a zombie. Nikaido's like kneeing one in the head, which is pretty funny. And they're basically just like on the setting in the world of Dorohedoro. It looks fantastic. There are so many details on this figure, and it just felt like one of those figures that I needed because I like this series so much, and most companies don't want to go near this series for some reason. I don't get it at all. But yeah, this figure is coming out very soon, but I think they have to ship it to America, to like the warehouses, before they could ship it to us, so who knows when this is actually going to arrive. But I'm definitely looking forward to it. This piece is pretty phenomenal if you ask me. Very cool. So that wraps up the main portion of this video. Everything that we've pre-ordered and are anticipating. However, I do have a couple of extra figures that I really quickly want to go through just to give you an idea of what else I might potentially purchase. But before I talk about that, I forgot to mention something really quickly. I want to give a shout out to the Miyazaki Man on YouTube. A friend of mine now, he actually invited me to do a podcast on his channel a couple months back, actually. So I don't remember exactly what we talked about. However, it was a good time. He's a really nice guy. And his episode with me in it, or I guess I said that the wrong way. My episode should be coming out relatively soon if you want to watch us just chill and talk about the industry, talk about YouTube, talk about, I guess, just figures in general and video games and all that stuff. Go check it out. Should be a good time. It might be out now, or it might come out in a couple of days, but that'll pressure him to actually put that video out if this comes out first, so go do it. Anyway, yeah, let's talk about some additional figures that I'm on the fence for, and I'll just give brief summaries as to why. Not going to spend as much time as I was on the main portion of this video. For example, the Chainsaw Man figure of Power from Amakuni. This is my favorite Power so far. However, this is ridiculously expensive, and I do want it for sure. I think I will be pre-ordering it, but I haven't accepted the fact that this is 27,000 yen. There's something about this figure that I find oddly attractive, and I've never thought of Power that way. Totally cool if you do, but I've always just thought of her as a cool character, right? But I guess, leave it to the horny company of Amakuni to do something with like her face and her body to just make her look a little bit more wowza to me, if that makes sense. But it's cool. I like the hammer a lot. I'm going to talk about this one more in the future, so look forward to that if you care about my opinion. But yeah, just really, really expensive and hard to justify, honestly. Hololive's Hosho Marine from Max Factory. This figure just came out, and I was kind of blown away at the user photos and reviews. Like, I wasn't expecting to like this figure as much as I do right now, even though I like her, and I think her outfit, like her design, is fantastic. I definitely like pirate girls, but I just didn't think I would care about this figure as much as I do right now in the moment, so I might get it. You might see this on the channel. It's kind of amazing how good this figure came out. Also, there was the Hololive Shirogane Noelle swimsuit figure that just went up for pre-order, and she only costs 18,000 yen. Now again, this looks like a really great figure. Do I care that much to buy it? I don't know. Originally, I was just gonna pass, but the figure is so affordable. You can get it for like 140 bucks, and it looks amazing. Like, this is a really nice swimsuit figure, and I like her enough to justify it in my head, even though I don't really watch her, to be honest. But yeah, might be an impulse buy just because of how actually cheap it is. Vibrastar's Elf Girl. This was a figure that I raved about in our last pre-order roundup. I thought everything about her looked phenomenal. She has the cool, the sexy, and the cute all in one. The costume or outfit looks amazing. The face is spectacular. Pretty much nothing to dislike about this figure. However, I don't necessarily feel like I need it right now, and I might just pick it up on release. Like, I don't feel the desire to pre-order this, and if I miss it, if like this just becomes rare or something, then oh well. The artist will absolutely get more figures being made, and then I'll just buy one of those instead, because it's really the artist that's carrying the figure, not so much the sculpt, if that makes sense. Like, it's their work, but they're gonna have other designs anyway, and I'm sure I'll like more than just this one. Likewise, from that same video, I also praised the Ariel figure from So I'm a Spider So What by Amakuni, but in this case, I feel like my interest and appreciation has only gone up. I feel like I'm going to really want this figure when it's released. However, I don't think I want to pre-order it because it is a little bit expensive and I don't feel like a lot of people are ordering it, so it might bargain bin. I feel like I'm willing to take the chance on this one, even though I think she would look perfect on my shelves. Like, I don't really have a reason to take the gamble. I just don't feel like I need to commit for some reason, but she looks phenomenal. I love her body and her outfit. The cape looks super cool. Her face looks amazing. Everything about this figure. Go watch that video. It's a long one, but it's good. Anzu and Karari from the Idolmaster Cinderella Girls by Lycorn. I did not forget about these two. In fact, you might recall me stating that I think these are some of the cutest figures I've ever seen, and I stand by that comment. These two are adorable. However, I don't really like their prices. I think over time, I've come to accept Anzu's price as being, somewhat justified. However, I don't see that for Karari still. I feel like she is still very overpriced, and I'm just not willing to drop down this much money for two Idolmaster girls who are very likely to bargain bin. In the event that they don't, fine. Like, I'm not that into the Idolmaster series to really feel bad about missing these two, but if they did bin or just dropped a little bit, I'd be on board, and I'd definitely get them. Bondrude from Made in Abyss by Q's Q. This is just an unfortunate case of a figure costing a little bit too much money for me. While I'm willing to spend 30,000 yen on certain figures and series, I just don't feel comfortable spending the cash on this figure for some reason, and I don't really have a good justification as to why. He's pretty big, and he looks cool, and he's badass, but there's just something holding me back where I feel like there are other figures where I should be spending that much money on, if that makes sense. But if he bargain bins, if he goes down in price, I will be there. I will buy this figure, guaranteed. Spy Family's Anya and Yor from Good Smile Company. This is a figure that I have nothing but nice things to say. In fact, if you like this, gets my highest recommendation, nails the character design, and it's really affordable with two characters and a nice furniture piece in one swell package. However, I just don't feel like I need it. After some consideration, I can live without this one. But, maybe I'll pick it up on release. Just not something I'm really going to think about in the now. Minky from Jugoku Sensei Nube by Amakuni. This is a figure that I kind of forgot about. It's not that expensive at 19,000 yen or so on AmiAmi, and I like her 80s aesthetic and design. She looks very from that era. I believe this series is from the 80s or so. And it's like a demon girl wearing like armored bikini or something, so why wouldn't I like that? Might pick it up, might not, I don't know. It's also a cast-off if you didn't know that, but I think the bikini armor is going to stay on because that's just really cool looking, and it's still very suggestive, so it's got that going for it, right? And last is the Demon Souls Figma of the Fluted Armor set. It's just a little expensive. I feel like I shouldn't be spending 15,000 yen on a Figma. It's hard for my brain to justify doing so, even though I can spend close to 40,000 yen on other PVC scales. It's just how my mind works. I can't help it. However, I will probably get this because I know I'll regret it if I don't. And he at least comes with a lot of stuff, a lot of weapons, which is pretty impressive. They're trying to make sure you have a lot of fun with these Figma, at least from the From Software games since they added the Hunter weapons. I actually picked that one up, the Hunter weapon set. Very cool accessory pack if you weren't aware of that, so consider buying that if you like the Hunter from Bloodborne. But yeah, that's gonna do it for my big list of pre-orders and maybe pre-orders. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I got a lot of nice things heading my way, but you may disagree. My treasures may be your trash, so let me know down below what you think of this list, if you plan to pick up any of these lovely figures, or if you want to just tell me what you're the most excited for. I'd love to hear that as well. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you want to support the channel, be sure to like the video, subscribe of course, and maybe consider using one of my affiliate links down below to help me out monetarily. Either way, I'll see you guys very soon for the One Fest and One Hobby videos. Those should be up next. And until then, I guess take care. See ya.